The Poco C75 5G is the newest entry-level model in the company's lineup and the successor to last year's C65. The C75 is essentially a rebranded version of the Xiaomi A4 with a very minimal difference that come down to the design. The C75 5G we're looking at here also has a non-5G variant which features a different chipset and front camera. If you're aware of the A4, then you already know what you're getting with the C75 5G. The Poco C75 5G has the same basic design as the Redmi A4 or the Redmi 14C, with the differences being in the choice of materials and colors. It features a marbled pattern on the back, which is also available in 3 colors. Above that is the camera island, which has 4 cutouts, but really just one usable unit. The difference compared to the A4 is that the A4 uses a glass back, whereas the Poco C75 5G has a plastic back. The side frame also uses plastic with a matte finish similar to the back. Along the phone's right edge are the volume buttons and a power button, which also has an integrated fingerprint sensor. On the top is a headphone jack, and on the bottom is the solo loudspeaker with a USB-C connector that supports USB 2.0 speeds. On the front is a 6.88-inch display with chunky bezels all around. It also features a teardrop notch at the top that houses the 5-megapixel front camera. This phone doesn't have a proximity sensor for calls and uses the touchscreen to detect skin contact instead. It has a 6.88-inch 1640 by 720 resolution IPS LCD display with a maximum refresh rate of 120 Hz. The Poco C75 5G has a 5160 mAh Li-ion battery. The company claims 18-watt PD fast charging, but the charger provided in the Indian units box is a standard 10-watt unit. On the upside, combining a relatively large battery and a frugal chip means you can easily get more than a day of use out of a single charge. The Poco C75 5G runs on the first generation Xiaomi Hyper OS on top of Android 14. The company promises 2 major Android updates and 4 years of security updates, but one of those major Android updates would just be spent on getting Android 15, something you really should have had from the get-go. So realistically, you're just getting 1 additional Android update. There are 16 pre-installed third-party apps on top of the Xiaomi and Google apps. The good thing is that all of them can be removed, which should help reclaim some space since there isn't much to begin with. The Poco C75 5G runs on the Qualcomm Snapdragon 4S Gen 2 chipset with 4GB LPDDR4X memory and 64GB of UFS 2.2. This is the only variant offered in India, although other markets may have a 128GB version as well. Performance is undeniably sluggish at times, especially after switching the phone on, as it takes a few minutes to get its bearings and finish all the background activities. App launches can also be jittery, not helped by the fact that some of them refuse to run at anything beyond 60 Hz. Multitasking is largely non-existent. You work on the app you currently have open, and then you move on to the next without any expectations of returning, since it won't be in the state you left. For the most part, it is usable for daily use. If you're someone buying their first smartphone or upgrading from an older, even slower phone, then you will likely not have an issue getting things done. Young users will likely not have a good time if they expect to install and run several apps and games, as the device is simply not built for that usage. The Poco C75 5G has a 50-megapixel f1.8 camera on the back, which uses a Sony IMX852. The camera features autofocus, but no optical or digital image stabilization. Video recording is limited to 1080p at 30 frames per second. On the front is a 5-megapixel f2.2 fixed focus camera, which can also do 1080p 30 fps video. The camera app is fairly basic. Aside from photos and videos, additional modes include time-lapse, portrait, and night mode. Overall, the Poco C75 5G is an affordable smartphone. For this price, you get a usable device that can do basic tasks such as phone calls, messaging, browsing social media, ordering takeout, and the occasional photograph just fine. The screen is big enough that you can also use the phone for navigation in your car, and as long as you pick the right network, you'll also get 5G connectivity. However, the competing Redmi A4 5G has an identical feature set as the Poco C75 5G, but it also has a glass back and is bundled with a 33-watt charger, all for the exact same price. The Poco C75 arrives in a very competitive landscape, and it may not be equipped well enough or priced low enough to handle the pressure.